Well, hey there. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I'm Erin.
I'm Candice.
And I'm Rikki.
First off, belated happy birthday to Rikki. Come on, Candice. You next.
I was waiting for you to finish because the echo. I was like, let me go ahead and follow protocol for podcasts, and not have it go ha ha ha. But happy birthday, Rikki.
Rikki's like, the more birthday, the better. I don't care.
Yes. The month may be over, but it's okay.
Did you enjoy your day? Did you have the best one ever?
It was very nice. Went to a nice brunch and I got my ears pierced again. So I have, I'm trying to, this thing is backwards. So I'm like, can't look at it. I get turned around. I got this little one here.
Okay.
And then I got the second hole in my lobe on both sides.
Look at you.
So
look at you.
I had a whole entourage that came. 6 of us came to the piercing studio. They're like, all of you? I'm like, actually just one. But
we're all just being voyeurs and looking like, what's going on there?
We're here to pick her up if she falls.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did you guys ever get your ears pierced at Claire's?
No.
Like in the mall or anything like that? So
I always got my ears pierced when I was a baby. I don't remember.
Yes, I was a baby.
Okay. Yeah.
I was over at Security Mall. We went to Security Mall and I got my ears pierced at, I don't know, whatever. It was a Claire's like kind of thing. And I remember they put the gun and my mom was like, I cannot look. I can't do any of it. And I was so determined. I was going to get my ears pierced when I was like 8 and my aunt came with.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I got to be so brave.
The joke was my dad was completely petrified that my mom, he thought it was barbaric. He was like, she's 2 days old. Like, how could you do this? Like, he was so upset. And she was like, I don't care. I want my daughter to have pierced ears. And he was like, I won't be here and stand by with this mess going on.
Well, I had the same thing. And the nice thing is, like, when I was getting these lobes pierced, I was talking to a friend about it. I'm like, I have no memory of the first time I got pierced. So it's not, I don't know if it was painful.
Right. And my dad looked at me. He was like, you're okay, right? I said, Dad, I'm 41.
I'm so thankful I don't remember it. So
thank you, Mom, for making sure that I don't remember it. So yeah.
Wow. Well, good. Now we've got birthday present options, more birthday present options for Rikki.
I will only have the one. Rikki, you can do the more for us because it's weird. I can do shots everywhere else, but something about that it gets me really the EBGBs. But it looks like it hurts because it's just the cartilage, but you handled it like a champ.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. The one that I got before in this year was more painful, but
Oh, she's like, did you just see it, Erin?
I've just seen this. Like,
where did you think she was pointing?
Oh my gosh.
If you all can't, obviously this is the podcast. Head over to YouTube if you want to see Rikki's beautiful piercings and Erin's face when she realized where it was. Because
it's not anything scandalous, just for people who are feel like out of context, that could be really like,
yes,
wow, you're piercing there.
Yes, in her ear, ladies and gentlemen.
People, I only have piercings in my ears. I promise, I'm not wild.
But, Rikki, I think you're up next for a tattoo.
Yeah,
because if you can do that level of a piercing, I think that's your next space.
I'm not opposed to it. I've grown up feeling like tattoos are wrong, tattoos are horrible. But if there was something that I really, really loved, I think I would.
RWWT. You can never go wrong. You'll never be upset about us. Candice, Erin, and hearts. No.
Love it. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, lady, I just want to pop back. One, because thank you. I wasn't here obviously last week. If anybody's been following along the podcast, it was great. It was enjoying to listen to because I was like, oh, and I found myself, like I always do at moments, going like, oh, like I want to pop this in here. I'll pop that in there.
I'll come back next week and say it. Yeah,
that's right. Thank you so much. I just wanted to catch us up on some things that happen inside of the Real WW Talk Facebook community, and so anybody is invited to join that. Just search Real WW Talk on Facebook and make sure you answer all the questions because Candice is primary. Yeah, she's like, no, if you don't answer them, you're not in because we can't be having a standby.
We got so many people, all this craziness going on the socials with people trying to get in and post weird links. We don't do that in our group. No way.
Not happening.
It's a safe space.
We've had a lot of conversation about the updates to the WW app, specifically the calorie tracking. I think they're still rolling it out from what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Steve has said he's got it. He says, I'm loving it. Even the 0 point foods have calories. So it keeps me in check. I'm on maintenance now, and it helps me keep between 1,500 and 2,000 a day. And then Helen said, I just want to share how much I love the calorie addition to the app. I like the fact that you can see how many calories, even though you went over your points. So for example, one day I had 40 points and a different day I had 25 points, and the calories worked out to be about the same. It made me feel less guilty about a 40-point day. It really depends on what you have. Candice, you've been playing around with that, right?
Well, yeah, it was funny because I was thinking about you because I know that you've been doing a lot more of the calorie tracking. And I was like, Erin should love this because it really does. And it's nice that it's in one space now. So you don't have to like double track. You don't have to go to another app to see the calories as relates to the points. But it showed me what you said, which is that I was under eating.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I was like, oh, my calories are only this, but my points are this. So it shows you based on the quality of the food or whatever you're doing, So I've loved it as an addition. And like I said, for those, there were some people who had expressed that it stressed them out, but I did want to point out that you can remove it. There's an option at the bottom that says like add, delete. Any of the macros that are there that you don't want to see, you can remove. So just wanted to put that out there as a friendly tip. If you're stressed out to see the calories or the sugars or whatever, just remove it.
Yeah, I love that there's more customization options now within the WW app.
Yeah.
And I did see somebody say that if you don't see it yet, check that add delete button, and you may need to go in and add the calorie tracking.
I had to add it. It was hiding there. So,
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Good to know.
Carly, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Carly shared her exercise tracker. Said February was a good month. And so each calendar day had a P or a W in there. And the P was for Pilates, W was for an intentional walk. Aww. And she did this 26 out of 28 days.
Yay.
In February. Now, Carly, the one thing that I want to encourage you to do, because she had hearts on all the days that she did the activity, and then she had thumbs down on, I want you to swap that thumbs down and switch it to like the
thumbs middle
massage, or like 26 out of 28 days is amazing. Like you need rest in there. So
yeah, congratulations. Look, consistency does not mean perfection.
Right.
And so you had a pretty fantastic month. Congrats.
Yeah, that was awesome. Way to go.
Yeah.
And then Julia, I just want to share this. She shared this really sweet message. I don't know if you guys saw this. She said, I'm all caught up on the podcast, but I needed some extra of the Real WW Talk ladies to help motivate me recently. So I went back and started listening to the old episodes of the podcast.
I always get so nervous when people tell us that. I'm like, okay, you really want to.
We're like, do you really want to do that? We don't encourage that. Yes. And Julie said, I just have to say, the old Candice, Erin, and Rikki would be so proud of how far you ladies have come in the past few years. You have met goals that you set for yourself. You've learned to put yourself first and prioritize things that are important to you. You've overcome some really difficult things. So if no one has said it recently, I'm so proud of you three and how far you've come and the countless people you've helped.
You need to hear it. That's true. Thank you.
I didn't know that I needed to hear that.
Right?
Yeah.
But thank you.
You start crying when people say things. You're like, I'm fine.
Right.
I didn't need to hear that, but thanks.
Well, I think, so it was interesting because there was some criticism, I would say early on, like in year 1 or year 2, there was some folks who felt frustration with us and decided to leave. And that's okay. It's not everything to everything, because they felt like we weren't losing the weight fast enough. Right. And sometimes that's internal. When you're doing really well, you want everybody to be operating at the same speed and pace, but everybody has different journeys. So if you go back and listen from the beginning, you're hearing 3 people at in COVID,
Mhm.
we've all just gone underneath of some pretty significant life changes to boot before COVID. And so it's the reminder that health doesn't happen in a vacuum. Like you're like, okay, I'm going to go lose weight. And there are other things that influence how that happens. And sometimes you're undoing old things to get yourself to where you are before you can even lose the weight. So
Yeah, sometimes you're counting points and sometimes you're going through breast cancer and sometimes you're counting points. So you're going through babies or you're going through loved ones getting ill. It's like I think that's what I love about the realness maybe of us, not to like toot our horns, but life happens.
Yep.
And I don't think that we're trying to pretend that like it's this linear.
Yeah.
I would love that.
And I think more people than not, we may have had that criticism, but more people have stuck with us and followed along with us across the years because they can relate to those challenges and us being honest about them and not sugarcoating things.
Yeah. And anybody who, I don't want to say it this way, but you'll understand what I'm saying because we all go through these ups and downs. Someone who may have lost all the weight in 2020 is now sitting at 2025, having gone through something and gained 15 or 20, and they're now trying to work that back off. So we know for so many people that you've done the work, but then maintenance is a whole different journey, right? And things happen. So bottom line is no matter where you are in your health and fitness journey, we're somewhere in that too. And there's those little, intersectional moments that I'm glad we can meet and support.
Find a year. There's a version of you somewhere in the several years we've been doing this.
That's a great way to put it. That's it. Okay, so ladies, we ended the episode before. We were talking about snacks. We waxed eloquent on snacks, and we're not going to wax quite as eloquent this week on lunch. But we did want to pick up and talk about like what we're eating for lunch and maybe how lunch has changed for us and maybe talk about some on the go options. So who's feeling lunchy and wants to kick it off?
I just know that lunch is a really hard time for me because that's usually the time that I tend to get snacky on my son's lunch. That is not necessarily what I would want to choose for myself nutritionally. Not that I'm feeding my son junk, but like he has a very specific palate at 4.
I was going to say Isaiah eats better than half of America.
He really does. Like yesterday, he told us that his steak, was not warm enough for him. He said he wanted. He's like, I need it. He touched it. He said, not warm, mommy. He said, like, who are you that you're I'm so sorry that your sirloin wasn't the way that you needed it. But what I'm finding is that's really been a saver for me are those bag salads. And I know that there's some controversy sometimes about like, should you use a bag salad or not? I'm looking at convenience right now and something that's easy that lets me get in some nutrition. And I've been pairing it with salmon cakes. Go with me here. I've been making salmon cakes on the weekend because it's really packed with protein. Salmon's great for you. And when you cut it up and put it on top of one of those bag salads with a dressing and some avocado, I'm getting in my healthy fat, I'm getting in my protein, and I'm getting in some veggies.
Yeah.
So doing that has really helped me in a pinch instead of having to chop up all the different vegetables, which I know you can do. Is chop in advance, but I don't know. I need an Aaron or Rikki tip on how to not have like the lettuce go soggy or all the different things if you try to prep veggies in advance. So
some of that could be layering. Like if you're trying to do like remember the old jar salad things, which I just be honest, for me, I never got them because I'm like, why am I going to go create now 2 dishes? Because I can't shake this thing up in the jar. That nothing's getting coated. It's a great idea, but then I've got to go empty the whole thing out into another bowl. Now I've created two more dishes. But if you, now that I've railed on that, if you decide to go that way,
you want to do that,
right? Yeah. If you did like the dressing at the bottom, you always want to put the heavy and the wet items at the bottom. But if let's just say you wanted to meal prep individual ingredients, chopping your lettuce up and then putting a paper towel on top of it will absorb the moisture and that'll help it last for a little bit longer. But there's some vegetables, like if you pre-chop carrots, store those in water. If you pre-chop celery, store that in water. as well. That helps it retain its crispness.
And so since I didn't do that, like I said, bag salad to the rescue, because
Right.
That's
And
great.
I don't think that should be knocked. I mean, how many times have we talked about the cost of convenience?
Mhm.
Because your time is valuable, right? There's always a cost regardless.
Mhm.
And you spending a little bit extra money over here means you save time, and time is money too. That's a currency. So
Yeah.
nobody should feel any guilt on that.
Well, that's my current lunch that I've been using as a go-to. What about you guys? What are some of your recents?
Well, I tend to be like also someone who like craves that convenience. Like in the morning, I want to grab something and go. There are weeks where I will meal prep and then have everything, prepackaged. But most of the time lately, I have been all about the factor meals. I'm still doing those for lunch and for dinner. And the convenience and the variety has really been what's key for me. It's not the most exciting meal in the world. I have some coworkers who'll see me heating it up and they're like, "Oh, how are those? I've seen those around." And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you that it's the best meal I've ever had, but they're usually flavorful enough. Like they have a range. I had salmon one day this week. I had most of the time it's chicken dishes. They have some vegetarian options, but I tend to go towards the salmon or the chicken. They have a couple pork, the things like that involve beef. Every now and then there's a pasta dish that has beef in it, but like the things that have like a sirloin or a steak are like the extra cost ones that I don't really indulge in. But it's been very convenient to reach for, and I'm still doing that. It heats up in 2 minutes, and I can take it to my desk and have a little break. So that's what I do. And a lot of times I will bring with me for lunch or to have a snack, something sweet, and, a little cheese wedge or something else to add a little bit of protein, because I'm also trying to keep my protein up. So sometimes it might be a couple Hershey Kisses or a little cookie, but I do like to have something sweet after I eat my lunch too.
Yeah, Rikki, the protein thing's been big for me as well, trying to make sure I'm getting, because once we switched over to that GLP-1 side of WW, and I could see how little protein I was getting, that was such a wake-up call.
Me too.
So for lunches, I have been no matter what happens, I am making an appointment with myself to meal prep lunches, and I am packaging everything up in my own little factor meal boxes. Even though I'm working from home majority of the week, I can go in and grab my meal, put it in the microwave, and it's done, right? I don't have to take time away to work to go stop and cook. So I have been making, can you remember Hamburger Helper?
Yes.
Yes.
It's or like a chili mac kind of thing. I've been making that with lean beef and lots of vegetables. And I made one that had some peppers, onions, and mushrooms, and gluten-free little like mini macs. And then instead of most of the hamburger helpers have milk in it, and then the cheese, which that's delightful. But I'm trying to work on saturated fat. I've just been doing beef broth, and just the straight beef broth, and nutritional yeast to give it that little extra cheesy flavor. So each meal is topping out to about 30 grams of protein and about 350 calories, give or take. And that's been super filling. That's been a great lunch. And then marinated chicken. Now this week, I call this like my bodybuilder meal, because I'm not bodybuilding, but when you look at it, you're like, oh, because it was a marinated chicken, green beans, frozen green beans, and rice that I had made in the slow cooker. But it did what I needed it to do, right? It was I did a hybrid of cooked and pre-cooked together just to make life faster. And so I've been alternating with those lunches throughout the week. But I've got to, I don't know about you guys, like I have got to have a plan for lunch. If I don't have a plan for lunch, like my whole day is screwed up.
And that's another reason why, like, because if I'm not doing the salad, I tend to be somebody who likes a sandwich as well. Like I've always been give me a sub of any kind, like a turkey provolone, put this on. But I found using the wraps, like either use the low carb wrap or for me, the almond flour wraps. You can put like a chicken strip or grilled chicken, lettuce, your favorite, tomato, onion, and just a little ranch dressing or cheese, whatever you want, wrap it up. Like that's been giving me kind of like a sandwich vibe, but like lower point if I'm trying to watch as much of the bread. But because if I could, I would spend a lot of points on like the brioche because I love like a brioche like a sub, but it's like 6-7 points. I just don't choose that for lunch all the time.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of people be very successful with the wraps because you can have maybe 2 of them. Depending on if that fits, for your health reasons, if you're allowed to, you can have them or not, and you can get in a lot of protein and really chock it full of veggies. And I'm always big on a sauce. Like I said, I want a ranch or something on it.
I remember I used to do something similar when I was making wraps for lunch, and maybe I'll bring this back, but the Laughing Cow wedge as kind of a spread to put on it, like underneath the chicken or whatever protein you're going to use, because that has,
I'm so glad you said that. I never, ever tried Laughing Cow.
Oh, really?
Never. I was like, something about it scared me.
Well, you know what
I don't know
what it was? I think it's because everybody was doing it as the shortcut over mayo, and we're pretty like hardcore mayo.
I'm hardcore mayo. Like
I never did it.
Or I don't know. Don't give me like passion. But it's good
The
though.
olive oil mayo. Have you tried the olive oil mayo?
Yeah,
I actually like the olive oil mayo. I've switched to using that.
That's good. Yeah. But the Laughing Cow cheese, is it good?
I think it's great. It's flavorful. It's not a lot of points. I went through a phase, and I'm trying to remember what crackers I used, but they were really good. I would take like 7 crackers at lunch, and I would, like just use them and just dip them in. It's a soft wedge, but you would just dip it into the wedge, and it was like 7 was just about enough for the whole. I remember really enjoying that.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be good with Triscuits. I'm in a Triscuits mood, as you can see.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like
I love
I used to love Triscuits.
That would be good.
I haven't had them in a while.
You gotta get them.
I mean, because I think if you look back over your life, I wonder if you all are similar. Like look back over your journey and look at how your lunches have changed. I went through a phase where I was all about the lean cuisines and like those meals, and that was I don't know if that was early on in my Weight Watchers journey, but everybody, because Weight Watchers had their own. And I think that what I found is the sodium in those never really worked well for me because I'm sodium sensitive. My blood pressure will go through the roof real quick with it. So, but I know some people use that as a way to quickly supplement as well if they're on the run. But have you all seen your lunches change as you evolve through the program or as you focused on different things? And is it because you're, like how have you seen a difference in your lunches over your program years? Or maybe you haven't.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know that from pre-Weight Watchers to Weight Watchers, I would say actually my lunches have stayed fairly similar to being on program.
Okay.
I feel like for me, I kind of found a method that was like 3 to 4 ounces of whatever that meat protein was, 3 ounces of a whole grain. So pick rice or quinoa or something, beans or what have you. And then 1 to 2 cups of the vegetables.
Okay.
So I and then a cup of fruit and then like a little sweet treat with it, kind of like an old-fashioned lunchbox kind of thing. I think that's actually what's funny. Like I've been trying to make sure that I'm really replicating that in my lunches that I've been pre-making. And so when I go to work and I take my Tisket Tasket basket with me, like it looks piled high with food, but it's all good stuff,
And Rikki, if you answer it, my other question is, do you find the timing of your lunch matters? Like, are you an early lunch, like it has to be 11, or are you like, you try to put it later in the day so it's closer to dinner?
Well, I haven't had much of a choice about the time, unfortunately, but depending on the grades that I'm working with, when they eat lunch, I'm usually eating lunch. My first, this year I do have an option, but my first grade that I work with, which is 3rd grade, They have lunch at 10:45. That is too early for me. Yeah. So I don't eat
snack time.
Yeah. So thankfully I have planning later. So I kind of flip-flopped it. Because I can make I have the flexibility in my schedule that way. So when they are at their related arts classes at 12:30.
I think Rikki's Rikki's
she's
internet is
she's thinking really hard about it.
Really hard. Oh, there she is.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I said that just 12:30 is more successful for me. And basically, I don't think my lunches have changed a ton, but I think my choices when we have some type of like potluck or things are different. My plate is a little more balanced. But that's where I would have noticed the change.
Yeah, my lunch yields to whatever's happening in my work day. And I find myself eating somewhere around 1:00. Yesterday it was 2:00.
Yeah.
And I'm usually a pretty hard and fast, like 9, 12, and 5. How about you? Because I'm sure a lot of that yields to Isaiah as well.
Yeah, but I actually do better. I've learned to have my lunch a little later and closer to my dinner. That's a change I made because that's my danger time. The time in between lunch and dinner. If you have a time where I could really kind of sabotage and go off track, it's usually then. So I find if I time my lunches a little later in the day, I tend to do well because I usually have a pretty protein heavy breakfast. So I'm satiated, I'm not hungry early. But yeah, I think, and I also am really mindful of how many points I want to spend during that time because I'm triggered by having less points later in the day. It makes me want to, I don't know if anybody else is that way. I've learned me over the years. Like I'm like, I only have 5 points left for dinner. But something about keeping lunch around maybe 5 to 7 works really well for me. So yeah, later in the day, but it's good to hear the different options,
How about for you guys too? I know we're coming to the end of time here, but I think it's really important because lunch tends to be, I think, the number one eat out time. I'm on the run. I got to grab something on the go. Do you have particular go-tos and maybe even splurge items?
Yeah. My thing has been, and I think Rikki brought it up. It's something we did in Disney. If I'm going out to lunch with people, I've found split buddies. That's been my big thing now. Like if I'm going to have it, I may have what I want, but I split it. Like, hey, I want some pizza. Let's have a piece of pizza. Let's split it because I'm just not really, I don't need like the whole slice. If it's one of those big slices, I'm not talking about like, if it's a regular slice, I'm going to have my slice of pizza. But sometimes we get those ones like from Costco that are really big.
Girl, I'm housing that whole thing.
I know.
If I could still, I would.
You said, what would I do? Not what do I want to do, right? What I would do if I didn't care is I'm having 1 or 2 of them and I don't care. But splitting it and adding a salad, to it to kind of beef it up is something that allows me to feel like I'm getting what I need, but also sharing with a friend.
Yeah.
So that's been my new thing.
Well, it's funny because I am very picky, kind of like you, Candice, about my salads at home and how quickly they go bad. I feel like I've never been able to make a really good salad at home. And I know I could challenge myself on that, but I tend to be more wasteful when I have packets of salad. So I know myself in that way. So for me, it's exciting to buy a salad when I'm out. Not to say that every meal I buy out is a salad, but a lot of times I don't eat out during the week. So I don't have time necessarily. But if I am on the weekend, I can go to one of my favorite places that has salad, which is called Chopped. I will go there and or I'll find another place that I know that has a really good salad. So that's kind of a splurge for me because I know I don't think I can make it to that quality and level at home.
Yeah, I agree. Like chopped is an elite salad.
Yeah.
Like I don't even try. Like I make some good salads, but I'm not trying. That's to me. That's
like chill out. You're never going to be us, okay?
Right. Exactly. Don't even try. Don't even try. But like there are times when I'm like, I want French fries.
Yeah.
I want French fries. I'm getting myself out of the language of saying I need French fries. I don't need them. I want them. And so at what point do I want to indulge? in them.
Yeah.
And so I'll do one of two things. I have two different burger places that cook their French fries in dedicated fryers. So that's also part of the psyche of I know that I can. That's so exciting. The one place has a salad that you can get. And so it's chicken and it's bacon and a honey mustard dressing. And so I'll get that, which I love that combination with the French fries. And I dip the French fries into the honey mustard dressing.
A woman after my own heart, Erin.
I know, but it's a burger place and I'm going there to get a chicken salad, right? But it's chicken and bacon, man, that is just like,
Good.
And then Five Guys doesn't have the salad option, but they've got the lettuce wrapped burger and then they have the burger bowl. And so I usually go for the lettuce wrapped burger. So I'm getting a few more veggies up in that business. And then of course, the fries. What I have not done yet that I need to is not eat the entire little fry. Cause you get that little fry and then they go take that little
in the bag.
Right. And they pop that on top too.
Yeah.
And it's bad when your son tells you that he's ready for his fries, you realize you ate them all. Like I was like, it's a little fry. I only had a few of them and then they were gone. And he makes this really ugly face now. He'll go, fries, my fries. I said, listen, we're working on sharing. Okay. Like not everything's yours, but yeah, those fries can go quickly if you don't pay attention.
Gosh,
and I love that. And one of the things that a nutritionist I was working with said is she said, remember, when you do have those cravings, I think it's really important to honor them. And the worst thing you can do, I think sometimes is try to like fill it with something else. Like if you really want a good fry and you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go home and cut up some potatoes. No, go have the fry that you want, but add something to it. So she said, like, maybe I'm going to have my fry and I'm going to add an orange, or I'm going to have half of an avocado. Cause she said, the more that you're like denying that craving, you're more, it's growing. So if you want the Costco pizza, have the pizza.
Right. And sometimes too, it's not, we're not idolizing and idealizing this thing in our brain too. Like and often if we have cravings for carbs and for fat and for salt, that's also a really good check-in to see, hey, what nutritionally is happening, or is this a stress reaction? Because if we're under a lot of stress, that cortisol will crave those things. So sometimes it's even just like, hey, why do I want this? And I will tell you what, I want fries because I'm stressed right now. But for me, I'm not going to get the fries because I know I want it because of stress.
There's a difference. Yeah.
And there's a difference. I'm using that to my brain has associated those two things together and it wants to feed that as opposed to feed me. So that's when I will get out the potato and then I will oven fry something because I'm trying to retrain that stress response in my brain to something else.
But have you ever done that before where you're like, I'm not going to eat fries. I'm going to have baked Lay's potato chips.
Yeah.
So yummy. And then you're like, and then it's not at all. It's not fitting. It's not fitting what it is that you want. Yeah. And then you just end up eating more points. And then.
That happens to me a lot with sweets. And I've given up on trying the artificially sweetened like sweets that like, or just something that's like snack like it's not. If I want an Oreo, I can have an Oreo. I'm not going to have
I can have an Oreo because one Oreo is better than 15 Tootsie Rolls when that's not what you wanted.
Right. And sometimes that's even a very brave moment to do. And I'm using that. It's not a brave moment. Let's just leave brave where brave belongs, kind of a thing, But that is a big step forward. It can feel scary if your habit in the past has been to overuse Oreo, right? And that is like, hey, am I able to do this? Am I able to go? And sometimes, like we've talked before about bundt cakes and cupcakes. There's sometimes like, right, you just can't. We can't, or donuts. We just can't. We can't do one. So okay, well, what's the one that I can do?
Right,
and figuring, finding that out.
And looking at how you're labeling it. I think that's also the big thing too. Because if you're labeling it as something that's so bad and so off limits and all of this, it grows. That's all. In my mind, at least, it becomes this
Mhm.
big thing that it doesn't really need to be. Have the Oreo and be done with it.
You got it.
Or have half of it and be done. And that's it.
Yep. All right. As we close out, I just want to give a couple thanks to Deborah, Stacy, and Joanne, who all joined up this month as supporters of Real WW Talk. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you
So much for helping to make the podcast happen. So as you are listening today in your mind, you can go, thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Stacey. Thank you, Deborah. And then you can say, thank you, me. I want to thank me. And just hit that subscriber or supporter button that you'll see, and then you can join in too with your support of the podcast and help make it happen.
And if you're wondering, does $3 or $5 really do something? Yes.
Yes.
Don't minimize it. It truly does help. Every little bit. You don't understand. You all know how much stuff has gone up. Seriously. Because I think sometimes we have that thought it has to be a big amount. No. You know, whatever little bit it helps.
Yeah, look, we got 10,000 people in the Real WW Talk Facebook group.
Yeah.
So, and this is not, I'm not saying like, I'm just, number comparison. But when you think about it, like when you think about $3 being a small amount, but if you have 10,000 people doing $3, that's a whole different, that's a different ballgame. So.
We will tap dance. At that point, you're going to have Aaron. Just Rikki will get another piercing and a tattoo. We promise.
That's it.
And I will watch.
Yes. So thank you. Thank you to all of our supporters, and thank you to you for considering becoming a supporter. We're grateful. Very, very grateful. All right. Have a great week. Come over to the Real WW Talk Facebook group and share your lunches with us. We left a lot of room open so that you can join in the conversation and put your favorites of what you're doing. So
yay.
Bye.